have to review now. When you were outside, you knew that it should be $20 a month, an hour. Now you are inside. What is there to review? So therefore, they didn't know what they were talking about. They got votes under false pretenses. They want the money now. CPAP workers, UIP workers were promised a pay increase. They want the money now. And on behalf of all the businessmen who supported them, on the basis that there will be no property tax, we're not buying this argument now about no property tax on residences. You didn't say that before. It was no property tax. And of course, some school children will get computers and some wouldn't get. Could you imagine the school environment where some children have computers and some don't have? Wait. As my grandparents were saying to me, no, I am there. But grandma ever see them right here. Right here. Stay in your political office, badmouth the PNM, talk foolishness, make all kinds of promises. It is deliverance time now. July 26th, we will send a message to them, don't mess with the people at the PNM. The PNM will defend our democracy, be the voice of the oppressed, the victimized and the downtrodden, and the tireless advocate and defender of our economic potential. A vote for the PNM in this local election will send a very clear message to the PP that people will defend their interests, protect their opportunities for equal advancement, hold their government to high ethical standards, and expect that elected officials will keep their commitment to the people. That is what the election is all about on July 26th. But that cannot be our central business today. Our business today is to outline a part of our strategy in the broadest of terms of where we should take our people, where we want to go. In the past, I have spoken about widening our political base, welcoming everyone into this party, no matter what his or her persuasion might have been. We'll encourage debate within the party and appreciate our intellectual origin. That's a good thing. Intellectual discourse within the PNM will strengthen this party, encourage it. You don't take me at my word. Demand democracy within our party and continue to be a rallying point for all and with all. But precisely because we're here and we were here before, we must outline some new principles of development which will be the business of the party to develop. When we began our journey towards self-realization, we anticipate that the end result would be that people would control their lives in their villages, in their towns, and in their hamlets. You remember that part of the reason for our party coming into being was to remove the heavy hand of colonial government that controlled every aspect of our lives. You may recall that in the conception of the new society, Dr. Williams spoke about, and I quote, the active participation of the masses in all aspects of economic, social, and cultural life, the leaders having confidence in the people. I have confidence in you. We recognize that as sovereign beings, people are able to control their lives, and their leaders, having confidence in their people, merely created the means where such a goal was attainable. For some reason or the other, we did not quite work through the implications of this position. And while we advanced a position in terms of local government that said that the central government would make policy, which local government would implement, it is time that we recognize that the logical culmination of any people's democracy must be the ability to initiate action where they live and thereby become participants and not subjects. They must initiate action and control their lives in the places where they live. From now on, this must be the basis of our new trust in governance. That is, government from the bottom up, involving people in all aspects of the social, economic, and cultural processes. That is what the PNM was worked to. So that the first principle in this new dispensation is that people would control their lives in their communities and initiate actions as respectful and creative beings. Against this doctrine, there is no problem in us advancing that all local authorities must be allowed in a reform structure to collect, keep, and spend from certain public revenues. This would see more effective planning, a higher level of timely service, encouraging greater participation, forcing improved accountability, and a betterment of the quality of life of all citizens, regardless of where they live in this country called Trinidad and Tobago. It was the PNM, albeit with a little prodding, which established the Tobago House of Assembly in 1980. We said then that if the system works in Tobago, it will become the model for Trinidad. It is now 30 years later, and it has now been seen to have worked well for the people of Tobago. So the time is right to import the benefits of that experiment to the systems in Trinidad. Such a plan calls for a stronger movement towards the centralization of government at the physical, psychological, and social level. The time has come when we must diversify the delivery of services and allow more people to get involved in their communities without the inconvenience of having always to come to the centers of cities. This does not mean taking a unilateral decision to move the licensing office to central, just to provide income for some friend or party supporter. It should mean embracing information technology so that much of the business conducted today in government offices can be safely, securely, and expeditiously done from home or from a local district office. But we'll get back to that in another time. At the administrative level, towns and villages must be given more resources and responsibilities and encouraged to run their own affairs. There is no reason in the world why village councils or town governments, any group from 20 or 30,000, can't elect their own representatives, should not be given more responsibilities to run and control their affairs. This would involve cities and towns raising some of their own funds, collecting their own local taxes, and being as innovative as their spirits drive them as they work in unison with central government. Necessarily, such a move presumes a new relationship between central and local government and a broadening of the mind. The PNM is ready to work with these ideas and to champion progress as we have always done. In this new version of the future, we must reform local government. In recent years, in many successful economies, both developed and developing, there is a clear trend towards the devolution of spending and to a lesser extent, revenue-raising responsibilities, and that to local government. This is based on the rationale that such decentralization can lead to significant gains in distributional equity and overall fiscal management. Giving more power to local government really puts the central government in a better position to understand the needs of the people, to understand their priorities, and it teaches communities to be more responsible, to understand the need of making choices, and to ensure that there is value for money. Without doubt, there are challenges to fiscal decentralization such as skilled and management shortages at the local level. Potential issues of poor governance and problems of local service delivery can arise, but we have to start somewhere. However, as we start, we need to do that giving local government more authority in small things, in selected areas such as poverty alleviation programs, in development of small infrastructural projects, in the provision of health services, in running libraries and school districts.